Hello everyone, welcome back to Craft Corner. This week it's my turn. I'm going to be doing a little beginner's introduction to Zentangle, which when I was at school was just called black and white drawing, but was branded by a lady named Mary something in America quite a few years ago, for the calm feeling, meditative state or something that she felt was the Zen, and because it's mostly doodling patterns, hence the tangle. I don't know where I went wrong. I should have branded it and made lots of money, but anyway, so I'm going to give you a little intro. Hopefully it will look something like one of these when we're done. Okay, I don't want that. Firstly, you need a pencil, then you need a thin pen and a thicker pen. I use special fine liner pens, a 0.1 and a 0.5, but you can get on just as well with any kind of writing pen, biro or whatever you have, and a black felt tip. As long as they're black, it works better. Black and white, it always looks more effective. So first of all, you get a piece of paper. I have one of these handy little cards already, but you can just cut some normal printer paper, white paper, into whatever size you like. I prefer the squares for this just because it won't be quite so big and won't take as much time. So you need to divide your paper however you like. I'm going to do a big Z pattern across there, and then I'm going to go again with a kind of wiggly wobbly line across there. You can do as many dividers as you like. Some I do more, some I do less. On my bigger papers I can do quite complicated things, but not so much today, I think. Right. Now we're going to pick a section. I'm just going to show you some of my basic patterns that I like to do. Any of these you can feel free to do with pencil first. I always did when I first started, but now I just go for it with a pen. So I'm going to pick this one over here, I think. I'm going to start in a corner. This is handy to have a triangle kind of shape for. If you want to use a ruler, you can. I never bother anymore, now that I've decided it doesn't matter if they're perfect. I used to always use a ruler for everything. It takes longer. And, you know, it doesn't have the hand-drawn quality so much, I don't think. It looks quite effective being slightly more wobbly. Right. And pick a new corner and do the same thing. So we're just doing a lot of straight lines going from the same point. That's why it's always handy to have a more triangular shaped section, because 3 points looks better. So you keep going across till you get all the way to the other side. And then I'm going to do it here, so the line would be there if there wasn't another thing there, and then that bit. And then turn around to the last point, start again. They're always best to go up the middle line first and then spread out either side. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect. Mine rarely are, but it always looks effective when it's done. Anyway. That's it, and one more across there. And that is our first pattern. Looks kind of like a laser beams that somebody's going to jump through and steal lots of money, but I like that design. Okay, another triangle type one. We'll do this one that's a bit more rounded. So this time, start from a corner again, but instead of straight lines, we're going to do curves, like little rainbows. So they'll get bigger as you go along. Oops. Edge to edge. This one's nice because the end of it has the curve as well, so it will fit nicely in the shape of the excuse me, of the section. Sorry about that. Okay, and then same as with the lines, pick another one. This one's going to be a bit different because it's going to go more sideways, because it's going up, but it's also going out. So you're going to finish one side before the other, but that doesn't matter. So you just keep going and do half as if the other one finished over the top. And then we turn around to the other side. I always keep turning the paper around, saves me turning my head around. And find the other corner and do the same thing again. And then again, just go this way as if it continues the other side. There we go, 2 patterns. It's quite similar and yet different. That's the kind of style I like. Right, now this pattern, I'm going to go for one that's slightly more rounded. Again, it's triangular, but it's slightly more rounded. I always find that most of my patterns tend to be in lines. So this one, we do a line at the top and a line at the bottom, starting from some point roughly in the middle. It's always easier to do them a line one side and the other, because then you don't have to keep count of how many lines you're doing. You've always got an even number of lines. So you can stop there if you want to, or you can keep going again, which I probably will because I prefer smaller lines for things. This one's going to be a bit more colouring. We try to have a variety of ones that are just lines and ones that are shadings with more dark. Now this is the kind of one you can do a lot of different things with. I'm going to choose to colour each other line. So I'm going to do this on them so that I remember which one to colour and which one to leave blank, because I have had several times where I've accidentally coloured the wrong one or got carried away and done 2 together, and then I've had to change my entire pattern. So then you get your thicker pen or your felt tip pen and you shade that one dark. I'm going to do it quite quick today, so normally I'd make sure there isn't any white left, but I don't want to run out of time. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera because I feel the table shaking.
Yes, I'm trying to lift it up a little bit just in case.
It's hard to colour without shaking the table. And you don't need a fancy mat like I'm using, but it's always best to, especially if you've got a tiny piece of card, it's best to have something underneath. If you've got a nice table, you don't really want to accidentally go over the edge and colour your table black. So you put just a piece of paper underneath your paper, newspaper or plain paper, a magazine, anything at all, to protect your table. Like I just did then. If the mat wasn't there, the table would have a black line on it. There we go. I say normally I'd colour it properly, but because I'm being fast today, I'm going to leave it like that. Okay. Another pattern I really like, I'm going to do this other one on a triangle one, is one that's on one of these actually. So I'm going to do a wiggly line. Again, it goes nicely with the wiggly line that's already on there, and another wiggly line. And we'll leave a gap, and then do another one. Try to follow roughly the same pattern, divide. You have to keep expanding it, because the further you go, the more wiggle there'll be, because it's a longer section. Okay, this side. I'll leave that as is. And then this side, we're going to wiggle the other way. Not quite so much. So it divides each one. Try to do it so it's roughly in line. So it's almost like the middle lines are dividing the vertical lines are dividing the horizontal lines. Okay, and then what you can do, go back to your thicker pen, as we did with this one, is shade every other line of these ones, leave those downward vertical ones blank, because that always looks better. And then on the next one you do the opposite. Right, whoops, see, I nearly coloured the wrong one then. And keep going opposites. I do a little wiggle at the side of there. So you'd colour them separate. I'm not being quite so careful today as I normally would, but okay, I'm going to do this big one. I shouldn't really keep turning it around too much, but I'm going to anyway. Okay, so it's quite a fun one. Right, we're going to start at the bottom and we're going to do some loops, quite long ones, like little towers. This one I always find it starts off different to how it ends in the amount of size I do these. I don't know why. It still always looks good. They're just never exactly the same by the time I get to the top.
I could never do them exactly the same. They always change in size.
So that's your first line. It's kind of like teeth, I suppose. But this one we're going to go on top of that again. So we're going to try and go the same and go between each one. So you start in the middle-ish of each one. And then go up. It looks kind of like those old-fashioned jelly moulds that looked kind of like a castle thing. That's what it kind of looks like, but longer.
Or roof tiles.
Yeah, roof tiles, scales. I'm going to go that way and that way. I'm not going to go right the way to the top because we'll be here forever. But I'm going to do at least 3 rows. Oops, gone sideways. There you go, in between. Just find it easier to start from the one over and then add the half afterwards rather than start with a half coming from the other side. I don't know why, but I always found that easier. Okay. So you keep doing that in between all the way to the top. When you get to these bits, I might go to that just because it's difficult. I'll go to the other side because you can see. Basically you just add halves as you need to. So here I'm going to stop halfway because that goes, and then just do the downward line. And then I won't put anything there because you wouldn't see that line going up. And the same here. You'd start, just do the upward line and then you wouldn't see any more. And with that, I do it as if it's going into that section, but because that line's there, it just stops. So you do the same thing on each other section that you get to. You just only do the bit that you can see, basically. And then in between these, you don't need your thick pen for this, you can do the thin one. You do a line about halfway up, like a little groove. And you do the same thing on these ones. Just a little added difference. And it's very effective when it's all the way done. As with these, you may not see all of the bits, so you just kind of go where you think you'll be able to see it. That one you won't be able to see at all, so we don't bother adding it. You just have to kind of look at the shape and where it should be and decide if you need to put it in or not. So that one will, and that'll go all the way up to the top line, as will that one. Okay, you just keep doing that all the way along till you get to the top and you've run out of space. Does that look good so far? What do you think?
Yes, yes it does.
Right, I'm going to go this one, I think. Right, this is another one of my favourite ones. So this one is kind of like a lot of fallen planks, I suppose, like that game of pick-up sticks when you have them all crisscrossed. That's what this hopefully will look like. So you pick a spot and draw as if you're drawing a plank, similar to what we did with that one but without the wiggles. And then you pick a different spot, different direction, and another one across. And any time one crosses another one, you're going to stop at the section and then pick it up from the other side so it looks like it's going underneath and that one was dropped on top of it. Okay. If any don't cross, then you just do it as you normally would. So I'm going to turn it around this way, go this way now. Sorry, is my hand in the way?
A little bit.
So you can use a ruler for this if you want to. Just have to remember to, if you're right-handed, then you need to move your ruler right to left, and left-handed you have to go left to right, otherwise you're going to smudge the ink that you just put down. So that's the only thing to watch out for. I have done that a few times in the past before I realised my mistake. But as I say, now I don't very often use her rulers at all. Do another one that way. That one as it is. Right. Now, as with the swirly one, what I'll do before I start colouring is put a line on each one that should be shaded, because especially with this pattern it's very easy to get confused with what is plank and what is background, and there's been a few times when I've accidentally coloured the wrong thing. So then you colour in shade all the bits in between. I mean, you can do more lines if you want to and make less black sections, or you can do them smaller and closer together. That's entirely up to you. That's the nice thing about this. It's very much subjective to what you like and your own designs. Unfortunately, as with the other one, I can't do it properly today, because otherwise this video will be very long. It'll end up like that, and it'll end up something like this, like that pattern there, when it's done properly. And I do like it, it's very effective. Okay. Oh, I thought that was going to roll away, but it didn't. Spin back around. I thought that was one I had to do as well, but I forgot that's part of that same one. I was like, I thought there should only be 2 left, but there's 3. No, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay. Now this one I quite like as well. We're going to do a circle in there, and then we're going to go underneath like a little row of circles. Again, feel free to use a ruler if you want to. Mine never are completely even because I'm doing it by eye, but nevertheless it always looks effective. You can't really tell that much. It adds a certain quality to it, I think, when it's hand drawn properly, more loose.
Yes.
So we're going to go opposites so that you have them in between each other, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Do the same this side. Noisy seagulls.
Yeah, they're noisy.
Okay. Keep going until you get right to the end. I sometimes kind of decide as I go if I need another top or bottom. Okay. Then what we're going to do is I'll start from the middle one, and we're going to go diagonally across with one line and then 2 outer lines, so you have 3 lines together. And we're going to go again until you're in a... Oops. I had to redo that. When you get to the edges, just do that. I'll do the same this side, as if you're heading to one, even though there's not one there. And then we're going to do the same, but this time we're going to go up that side. With diagonal lines always look best. That way and that way. I have done it going up as well into flowers, and that is very effective, but sometimes it looks like too much. So it. So look, some of them are fatter and some of them are thinner, but it doesn't matter. It's quite frustrating being a perfectionist doing this, to be honest. I don't think you'd get anywhere if you were. So that's why they always used to take me so long, because I had my rulers and I had to rub out. I did it in pencil first and I was constantly rubbing out until I decided that a lot of the time it didn't matter and it could be very effective to see the lines and see where a little hand wobbled. And sometimes there's so much there that you don't notice it anyway. Okay. So you'd carry on with each section. I say, if you want to, you can do the opposite. So, well, this one here, I coloured in the circles and I did them all round as well. So it was like a flower with an edging around, but it doesn't matter which way you do them. That's the good thing about it. You can change it as you go. Right, one last section. Oh, which pattern are we going to do? I hadn't decided. I need more of a swirly whirly one, really, don't I? I haven't done many swirly ones.
You haven't.
Okay. I sometimes do a big swirl, but this isn't really a good shape for it, so I'm going to do a few little spirals. So go around like that, and then join it together like a... What's that kind of shell? That one. A spiral shell. I can't think of the word. There's a specific word.
Cockle shell? Snail shell?
Yeah, it's like a snail shell. I'm sure it has a more specific name.
Yes, probably.
All of the intelligent people are just screaming at the screen.
Yes.
But I never claimed to be one of them.
No.
So when you get to the edge, as I have, you can just do like a little bit and the round, as if you're just seeing the edge pieces. The same with that side. Just add them however you like. Doesn't have to be imperfect. Whatever. Okay. And then, oops, as with the other ones, you'd colour all round the outside properly with black. That's a shame I don't have time to do it very properly today, but... And I don't usually like leaving them half done, but it gives you an idea anyway of a few simple patterns. So some patterns I made up from my head, and some you can get Zentangle booklet magazine type things. I've got quite a few that my sister got for me from craft fairs and things, and they've got loads of patterns in the back as well. So I've used some of those as new things and others that I just decided to do, or that I adapted other patterns from. That's the good thing about them. You can have one pattern and do 6 different things with it, depending on how you shade it or what patterns you do in between. So those are the patterns that we've decided to do today. I hope you have fun doing those. I'm going to move that one now and show you some other things that you can do with them. So that's one that I did a long time ago. It says Mum. I cut a shape out as well. To move these. You can do borders around, in whatever way you like to make it a bit different. You can do, as I did this one, I put a cross in the middle and then did the shapes around the outside, or a star in the middle and put the shapes around the outside. And then you can do the same thing with letters. I've got an M and a B and an A. I should have done A first. But there's even more patterns on there. So you can freeze the screen and copy some more. And then some things that I've done with it. I decided to do a horse. Excuse me. So I drew the horse and then I patterned it with Zentangle. It's quite effective. And then I did the same with one of my bears.
Oh,
There's a few
very
different
cute.
things. But I mean, if you're not if you
A
can't draw,
Zentangle
or
belly.
yeah, you got a Zentangle belly. You can print any non-copyrighted images, clip art things from the computer, print them out as they are, and you can fill in the bits with that, or children's colouring books that are plain. My other one that I'm very proud of, we did Bible verse that I drew out the big sections and then Zentangled every other letter, which was for Mum.
Yes.
Was that for your birthday or was that for Mother's Day?
I think it was my birthday.
It was. So God is the hope that holds me and the stronghold that shelters me. And Zentangle made that quite effective.
Yes.
So it's a fun little
that.
thing. Anyway, it was a little introduction to Zentangle patterns. I hope you have fun exploring and trying out different ones. I look forward to seeing anything that you have a go at. Next time will be Mum's turn, and she is doing something.
A macrame hanging plant holder.
Macrame hanging plant holder, which is to do with knotting strings.
Knotting string. So you need a ball of string and a pair of scissors and a ring, a key ring or something. Or it's that the key ring is not necessary, but you can use one.
Okay.
You can have a loop of wool of string if not. So.
You can look forward to that for next time. Look forward to seeing any of your exciting attempts at stuff. Bye bye, everybody.